What if the Kingpriest of Istar had never fallen? What if the gods had never turned away from Krynn? And what if the fiery mountain never came, and the Empire of Istar stood unbroken? Welcome to another DragonLance Saga episode. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to talk about the alternate timeline, Istar Triumphant. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons, and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron by following the links in the description below. You can even pick up Dragonlance gaming materials using my affiliate links. I am referencing Roger E. Moore's short story, There Is Another Shore, You Know, Upon the Other Side, from the third Dragons anthology, Dragons of Chaos, for this information. If I leave anything out or misspeak, please leave a comment below. In this alternate timeline, the Kingpriest succeeded. He conquered not only the world, but the gods themselves. This timeline begins when the Graygem of Gargath fell into the Kingpriest's hands. Everything changed. He no longer sought to cleanse evil. He sought to own the light. The gem, having trapped chaos itself, gave him the power to command divinity. He bound the true gods in mortal form, stripped them of their thrones, and declared himself the Godking of Krynn. Under his rule, Istar became the center of all creation, and all who lived upon Krynn bowed to him. The world that followed was not destroyed by fire, it was consumed by order. From the shores of Gargath to the deserts of Krynn, every kingdom became a dominion of Istar. The banners of the blue eye and golden sun fluttered above every city. Laws of purity replaced laws of freedom. The Knights of Solamnia rebelled, but were driven down and broken by the magic of the God King's priests. They served as paladins of the God King's peace, hunting wizards, heretics, and any who defied Istar's perfection. Everywhere the eye gazed down. The symbol of the God King's sight and judgment. It was stamped into coins, carved above doorways, branded into slaves. Even the heavens bore his mark. Where once 3 moons governed the flow of magic, now there was only one, a massive blue-tinted orb that filled the night sky. At its center glowed a dark pupil, the living eye of the God King himself. To the faithful, this world seemed pure and bright, but beneath its light there was no compassion, only fear. The years of hunting began with the proclamation that the impure must be erased. Kender were the first to fall, called the Children of Chaos. Goblins, ogres, minotaurs, and gnomes followed. Each race was hunted to extinction in the name of divine order. The elves fared only slightly better. Deemed close to perfection, they were allowed to live, but only as favored servants of Istar's priests, their ancient pride chained to the service of tyranny. Magic itself was broken. When the moons merged, the orders of high sorcery lost their gods and their power. The towers were seized, their knowledge burned. The tower of high sorcery in Palanthas was reclaimed, its blackened stones restored to white marble, its Shoiken grove made a garden of light. But where wizards once studied in freedom, now priests watched for treason. The true gods still existed, but they were broken, stripped of their power, imprisoned in mortal form. Zeboim, once goddess of the sea, was bound to galleys' hulls, dragged through the oceans until the salt stripped her flesh and drowned for weeks at a time. Gillian was blinded, his libraries burned, his name erased from history. And Paladine, Lord of Light, was silent. Some whispered he had been caged within the Tower of Istar itself, forced to kneel before his high priest. Ultimately, he was chained to a rock by the sea. Tikhisis was abused, and last seen in Kalaman, she was drugged all over Ansalon to perform. The God King tolerated no rival divinity. Even faith itself became a form of slavery. The once proud nations of Ansalon became provinces of the world empire. Solamnia was now a dominion of righteousness, its knights serving as inquisitors. Gargath, now the dominion of Greater Gargath, was reduced to bureaucracy and servitude. Every dominion tithed their harvest, their sons, and their faith to Istar. All the gods had been laid low by the God King. To worship another deity was to commit blasphemy against perfection. Yet not all bowed willingly. In the shadows of Palanthas, whispers spoke of rebellion, of a dwarf with no hands who remembered the forge of the gods. That dwarf was Dugan Redhammer, once known to the world as Reorx. He was enslaved with his mighty hands chopped off. Where he once wielded a hammer which forged creation were now scarred stumps. Even in his humiliation, he carried the spark of creation with him. The Graygem of Gargath, the same gem that once spawned the races of chaos, was hidden beneath the streets of Palanthas, guarded by the mad remains of a forgotten wizard, Fizban the Fabulous. In this world, even Fizban had been broken, poisoned by the God King's will, yet within his shattered mind remains one last act of rebellion. When Dugan Redhammer begged for the gem, Fizban transformed a paving stone into the Grey Gem once more, and smiled before collapsing into eternal sleep. With the Grey Gem in his grasp, Reorx defied the God King. The God King's eyes were constantly scanning all of Krynn. When Dugan Redhammer took to the sea, the God King followed. Dugan and the two mortals who were pulled into this alternate timeline by Ionthus, Chaos himself, traveled to Anatha, the Isle of the Irda, but the God King arrived first. He destroyed every living being on the island and confronted Dugan and the mortals, mocking them. All he wanted was the Graygem of Gargath, and the mortals made a deal with him. Leave them be, and he could have it. The Kingpriest agreed that they could dwell in the Dragon Isles far to the north, and the mortals told him to open the Graygem. When the God King returned to Istar, he did just that, releasing chaos. As lightning filled the skies and wind pulled the massive clouds, it could be felt all the way to Anatha. As Dugan regained some of his divine power, he knew Ionthus was destroying the God King. Reorx sent the two humans back to their timelines. This pattern is believed to have occurred in multiple timelines, originally started with the Irda releasing chaos by breaking open the Grey Gem as a reaction to the Knights of Takhisis discovering their island in the main timeline. No one knows if Reorx or his mortal companions survived. Perhaps they escaped into the sea another time, or perhaps their sacrifice shattered the God King's dominion forever. But the message of Istar Triumphant endures. It is not a story of glory. It is a warning of what happens when light forgets compassion, when righteousness loses humility, and when faith seeks control instead of wisdom. In the world of Istar Triumphant, good triumphed absolutely, and in doing so, destroyed itself. May it forever remain only a story, a reflection of what might have been in the long history of Krynn. And that is all I have to say about the alternate timeline, Istar Triumphant. Do you enjoy visiting these alternate timelines on Krynn? Have you ever played in an alternate timeline of your own making? And finally, why do you think those close to the Kingpriest didn't try to stop him? Leave a comment below. I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. It all goes to help other DragonLance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, remember, we called to the blank sky into the cold, dividing gray to the ears of new gods. The sky is calm, silent, unmoving. We have yet to hear their answer.